Good evening. My name is Paul Laskow from Save Energy Systems. And Save Energy Systems has developed a building management system for small to medium-sized facilities that helps the user save somewhere between 10 and 20% of their overall energy spend. And we do that by managing their HVAC systems. We've chosen HVAC because typically HVAC represents a large portion of the utility spend, somewhere between 40 and 60%. And so the system's developed with both a hardware-software component. What happens is we go into a facility, we replace the existing thermostats with our thermostats. They network back to a central controller. The central controller has the user interface built onto it, so you can actually have local access as well as remote access. And this is our demo site, which allows us to get in and take a look at it. This is what I'm going to go through a little bit here. It is secure-based, come up with a nice little dashboard, and we can come in, and the basic thing is we can come in and manage all of our HVAC units remotely and concurrently and relative to one another. And that's how we save energy. We save energy, like I said, by using, in the commercial industrial market, energy is billed in two ways. You get billed for the demand component, which is the peak amount of electricity that's used over a 15-minute period during the billing cycle. So obviously when all of your HVAC units come on, you're using the peak amount of electricity. We reduce that by just not allowing them all to come on while maintaining a comfortable environment in all of the zones. And we've been granted a patent on the algorithm and technology that we go off and use to accomplish that. The other part of the bill is called the use rate, and everyone even at their home gets a use rate. It's how many kilowatt hours you use. And so within the use rate, we actually, what I call nickel diamond. We do things like smart start, which means that based on the inside temperature, the outside temperature, and how far you have to go to get to the occupied temperature each morning, the system will change how long it runs just based on the environment. We actually can schedule holidays. 10 holidays out of a 260-day work year represents actually 3.8% of the days, which means that you can save approximately that much energy just by scheduling weekday holidays. We have an economized unit, which means like if you need cool air or air conditioning on a day where it's cold enough outside, and for us we define cold enough by 55 degrees or less, we actually take in the outside air rather than actually running an air conditioning compressor. So, and the last thing that happens is a lot of commercial buildings have multi-stage units, and we manage these multi-stage units when they have 2 or more compressors in them. We manage them in a way that they just actually run less often and less frequently than needed. So, as I said, this is the user interface. The user can actually accomplish everything just from this page. You can go in and you can set a temperature. You can come in and do a temporary override. So if I wanted to say, make this 65 degrees, I can sell it when it's going to expire. So I'll set it for 8 o'clock tonight. The system will actually go off and save that. We'll come back with a new set point. And based on whether it needs to be air conditioned or heat or whatever it needs, we'll come back and actually define whatever it's going to be. This particular mode is on a ventilation fan, which means that it's just going to run a ventilation during a periodic time schedule. To do the setup in each of these zones, we actually come in and look at each unit. So we get to define its address, whether it's being managed or not. As with pretty much every other unit, air conditioning, you get the different modes: heat, cool, auto, and off. We have some hysteresis is the time that you have, or the temperature bandwidth that the temperature is going to work within. So we get to define that for each zone rather than just having have it set by the manufacturer. Here's the times that change. We look at how much power is being used, the different set points that we have, and the occupied schedule. Again, we're focused primarily on commercial industrial facilities. We've got about 24 installations out in the field already, and I'm really out of time. So, questions? Anything I can answer for anybody?
You talked about customer acquisition, looking at SME target market.
Yeah, SME is very fragmented. So we have a couple of different acquisition strategies. First of all, we do a lot of direct marketing. So we go off and we have a multi-stage direct approach where we do a MailChimp, then we do actually a physical postcard as a follow-up, and then we do a telemarketing contact. We have some success with that. The other thing that happens is we actually do partner with a number of utility companies. So particularly in the SME market, the utility companies want to retain their customers because it's competitive for them. So as you can select your own utility company for your home, so can the commercial guys. And they want to tie them in. So what happens is the utility company comes to their commercial customer and says, I will give you this system that will help you save energy if you sign up with me for 3 or more years. So they become a big part of our marketing arm as well.
Yeah, how'd you get into the energy market?
So, this is a good question. What happened was actually I had my own small manufacturing business a number of years ago, and the utility bills drove me absolutely crazy. And researching it, I found out it was really the HVAC that was doing it. And I went out and looked for a solution that was affordable, as well as really kind of hands-off. And so this is designed really to be kind of set and forget, because I didn't want to spend a lot of time and effort managing it. And I couldn't find anything. There's lots of big systems out there from Siemens, Schneider, GE, Honeywell, guys like that, but they're too expensive. I couldn't afford it. Even, we were doing about 8 to 10 million, and I still couldn't afford it. Couldn't justify the spend on what I was going to save. Our system going into the marketplace is about a $10,000 system. So what happened was I looked around for a number of years, actually, couldn't find it, and finally decided to build my own.
Well, so you don't manufacture it, but now you're just...
No, we actually do the manufacturing of it as well. As I said, the thermostats themselves are standard off-the-shelf thermostats that we actually modify the firmware on that coordinates with our system. The only reason that we use thermostats is that if for some reason the central controller loses communication with the thermostat, it still needs to act as a thermostat. Otherwise, our central controller manages it totally. And then the controller itself, we build, actually we outsource to a local contract manufacturer. Our system actually compares to Nest in that Nest is really a consumer end user product, and it's a unitary controller. So it's one thermostat for one HVAC unit. It has no idea what anything else is happening. It just is worried about that. So it might be managing some kilowatt hour use, but in the commercial and industrial space, the demand charges are just as high as the kilowatt hour use. What our system does, which is different, is that it manages the thermostats concurrently and relative for all the other thermostats that are within the facility. Yes?
Are you doing any utilities to look at overall demand utilities and demand side?
Demand response and things like that, yeah. And the problem with demand response, and in the area locally here, Internoc is the big player.
Yeah.
And what happens is they're looking to knock 100 kilowatts off on a single demand response. Most of our companies aren't even using 100 kilowatts. One of the things that we are actually in conversations with utilities about is aggregating multiple facilities for the same customer. So if you've got a company that has 8 or 10 or 12 facilities, you say, great, I can knock 10 kilowatts or 15 kilowatts out of each one. Now it makes sense for the utilities to deal with us on that. So we're working with them on that type of situation.
What's your overall revenue model? Is it just selling the system? Or
No, our revenue model is actually, we sell the system, it's a capital acquisition. Like I said, it's about it's an $8,000 to $10,000 acquisition for the end user. And then we actually have a software service update, as well as a subscription for actually following up on the notices and alerts that you might get out of the system, and we can manage those for the customer. And I am 30 seconds. All right, one more question. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I used to work with building engineers, and the number one problem is controlling the HVAC system on Monday morning. What about these, you hear about frozen pipes, we're having a polar vortex. Do you have any solutions that will help with that when we get these?
Sure, as a matter of fact, we do. So we have a couple of things that a lot of our customers, yeah, sure. So the question is, with facilities engineers, they have problems with frozen pipes and Monday morning, and how do they deal with the power consumption as well as the cold weather, particularly in this type of environment. So the thing that we actually do, and a lot of our customers have obviously taken advantage of it this week, is that we have alerts. And so if something happens to a particular system or a zone that gets below a certain temperature, those alerts go out. We as a company get them, our customer gets them, and we work with our customer as well as their mechanical contractor to make sure that those temperatures don't drop below a particular set point. And actually, we had 2 customers that had an event this week, and they were really happy they had the system.
Yes, it's huge.
Thank you all very much. I'd like to just
Join Boston New Technology Meetup. Sponsor an event or a venue. Present your idea and attend to network with Boston's brightest. Details are at www.bostonnewtech.org and in the video description.